Welcome to the Catholic Life Coach Podcast. My name is Carla Fitz. I'm a certified life coach, wife, and mom of two beautiful little girls and a handsome little boy. My hope for this podcast is to support and empower other Catholic women to live their most authentic life, to share life coaching tools from a Catholic perspective in order to help you live a more fulfilling and aligned life filled with peace, joy, and abundance. Let's get started. Hello and welcome to this episode. Joyful and excited to be here with all of you once again. Today's episode, I wanted to get a little bit into surrender. So a few years ago, I committed to a new word for the year, and that year I wanted to focus on learning to surrender. And of course, what do we get when we want to grow on something? More opportunities to grow on that word. Learning to surrender is not comfortable. Learning to surrender is actually very difficult, very uncomfortable, and it's a process and is an ongoing learning experience. I feel like in this lifetime, we will never master surrendering. However, in the past few years, I have had so many opportunities to learn this skill, to learn to give it to God. And it has not been easy. God has given me so many chances, so many different lessons in the past few years. And I'm excited to make this episode because it is very dear to my heart. It's something that I constantly struggle with, and I constantly see my clients struggling with. And I feel like we all struggle with this. In our lifetime, we're going to have so many circumstances that we want to control, that we want to have some grip on and say, okay, I can figure this out. And if you are anything like me, you will be one of those that you will be committed to figuring something out until it's done. So for that reason, surrendering does not come easy to us. Giving something back to God and letting go, it's so uncomfortable. It pushes you to grow in different ways. So you are not just the one in charge. You actually give it up to the one that is in charge, indeed. I think in this life, we want to have control in our life. And the more we hold on to our control of what we know, our figuring it out ourselves, the more we struggle. And this past week, I was really practicing that. I have a dream in my heart that you know of. I would really want to travel with my family, and I have no idea when that's going to be possible. And I want to figure it out myself. And I have been trying to figure it out for a few years now until I learned the skill of letting go and surrendering. And the idea of surrender is also very confusing. And that's why I wanted to make this podcast, because for a long time, I struggled with the word surrender because to me, surrendering meant quitting. Surrendering meant letting it go, never thinking about it again, giving up. And I wanted to make this episode because in the past few years, as I have had to go through these circumstances where I've had to let it go, I've had to not let it go, but to let go, to let God and trust. That has been the lesson that He has been teaching me the past few years, especially this past year where I was going through my pregnancy. And I went from being a super active, let's figure it out kind of personality to having to rest. And God put me in this circumstance where I had to rest. And at the time, I was like, why are you doing this to me? This is awful. But now I'm so grateful that I went through that circumstance because I learned to be at ease, to rest, to let Him move while I'm resting, to let Him move while I'm not able to move. And in the times where I was energetic and I felt good, then I utilized that time to move, to do my part, to do my part of the deal, because we are co-creating with Him, right? And so He's doing the heavy lifting. We are doing our part. And we need to learn how to balance that game of God is doing the thing now. The ball is not on my court, it is on His. and I am letting it go until the ball is back on my court. Does that make sense? Hopefully that's making sense. But today I wanted to talk about the difference between surrendering and giving up. I just heard this meditation with Father Mike Schmitz, and it was so good. And I'm like, oh, I've got to talk about this in the podcast. And it was because surrender and giving up are not the same thing. When we think of surrender, you can have the same thoughts that I had, as I mentioned before a minute ago, that I thought surrender meant giving up. It meant, okay, I guess this dream is not meant to happen, so I guess I'm quitting. That's what I thought surrendering was. And sometimes we can even say it in pretty words and say, okay, God, I'm giving it to you, but I'm not doing anything about it anymore. I quit. It's too hard. And it can be unconscious as well. So I want to invite you to check in and see if you are actually surrendering or you're quitting, because they are not the exact same. They do have something in common. And it is that in both scenarios, in both surrendering and giving up, you are letting go. However, your intention, your emotion, your belief in both are entirely different. When you are in giving up mode, when you have this goal, this dream, this exciting thing you want to create in your life, and it gets hard, you are going to want to give up. You are going to want to say, okay, this has gotten too hard. It must not be meant to be. I'm giving up. When you are giving up, you are coming from the perspective of lack in trust. You're coming from an emotion where you have lost hope. That's where giving up is coming from. It's coming up from an emotion where you feel defeated. It's coming up from an emotion where you don't have hope anymore. There's not any other scenario but lost. You're giving up. You're quitting. When you have surrender and when you're practicing surrender, you're also letting go. However, when it comes to surrender, it's coming from a different emotion. That emotion is actually trust. And it feels different. You don't have this resentment in your heart. You have this trust that right now there's nothing I can do, so I'm giving it to you, Lord. I'm giving it back. This is your dream. This is your desire. You have put it in my heart. I have been doing my part. And right now, I'm letting go of the parts that I am not in charge of. Right now, I'm going to practice giving you what you have to take care of, instead of wanting to hold on to every bit of it and control it and plan it and think about it and pretend you can figure it out ahead of time. This way, you get to practice letting go of the parts of the plan that are not yours to take care of. You are saying, I'm letting go because no matter what, I know that you are taking care of me. I'm letting go because right now this isn't working, and I know that this is for my good. I'm letting go because this result that has been created so far is where you need me to be. The emotion when we surrender is trust. When you are in giving up thought, like, okay, I'm quitting, I'm giving up, your emotion is what? What do you feel when you're like, okay, I quit? The emotion is probably hopelessness, anger, discouragement, defeat. And from then, what do? Right? Because if you check in, chances are your actions from quitting, from deciding to quit, or at least thinking, okay, I'm done, I'm giving up, you are feeling anger, defeated, hopeless. Then you look for evidence that things are never have worked out and they're not going to change. You convince yourself that this is where you are at and where you will always be. You convince yourself that this isn't where God needs you. You convince yourself that it's too hard, and so therefore you can't handle it anymore, and then you stop. And the result that you create from it is that you never find out if you could have made it. When you are in a state of mind where you are surrendering the results to God, and your thought is, God, I trust you with this, you take care of it, then you're having an emotion where you are trusting. I trust. And from that emotion, what do? You stay at a state of peace. Your mind is at ease. You're able to see that you are taken care of right now. You're able to see other possibilities. You're able to connect with God in a much deeper level and let Him lead your next steps. Instead of being so shut down that you can't see any other possibilities but your own defeat, your own failure. When you learn to surrender, then God leads you to the next step that you'll have to take. But in the moment, you might not need to take a next step. All you might need to do is practice trust. I also want to talk about a concept that I learned in life coaching that is quiet quitting. And that is one where we let go of something that meant a lot to us, but we're not too sure if we actually decided to stop or if we just let it go because we thought at one point that it was too hard and we quietly quit. Two very different scenarios. Example, for me, when I was in high school, I really wanted to be a singer. And at one point, I made a decision, and I remember thinking about it very clearly and saying, I am done because I do want to sing, but I do not want to be a singer. If I decided to become a singer, I was going to travel a lot more, not be very present. I wanted to have a family, and I made that conscious decision that I wanted a family, that I did not want to be on the road being a singer. That was a conscious decision. But when you have a dream and you start working on it, and then all of a sudden you have some failures and you give it up somehow, and then all of a sudden somebody else asks you, hey, weren't you wanting to be this or that? Or weren't you trying to be a coach or going to a master's degree? Like, what happened? And you're like, well, I just didn't do it. Right? That's quiet quitting. And that is a kind of quitting where we have a lot of resentment for because it was not an unpurposed decision. My encouragement and the reason why I wanted to touch on that is for you to check in. Do not make a decision through quiet quitting or through giving up. If you are going through something right now where you are in this dream, you're trying to make something happen, but things are not working out exactly how you thought they would, then practice telling God and reminding yourself that you can trust Him, that you do trust Him, that He's got the better time, the better plan, the better how. Practice trust in surrendering rather than hopelessness in giving up. Two very different concepts. They can get very confused, so get very clear on what it is you're doing and why you are doing it. When you remind yourself your why, giving up becomes no longer an option. If God has put a desire in your heart and it is strong and He is in it and He's been pushing it and reminding you to go do that thing, don't quiet quit on yourself. Especially don't quiet quit when it gets hard. That's when things get exciting. Let God do His part. You do yours. And no matter what, surrender the result to Him. Give it back. Trust that what is happening is what needs to happen. And trust that that promise is coming. Trust ahead of time before you see even one evidence. Trust. Surrender the results to Him. Because ultimately, He has the better plan, the better result. And He will surprise you with His goodness and provision. Anyhow, hopefully that makes sense. Do not confuse them. Don't give up. Practice surrender. And my friend, enjoy the ride. It's a lot of fun. Is it easy? No, but it's a lot of fun. Until next time, God bless. Hey, thank you so much for listening and for being part of this community. If you are enjoying these episodes, I want to encourage you to subscribe so that you get notifications the next time the episodes are out. I also want to invite you to come with me and experience this work, to take these concepts and these episodes to a deeper level, to change your life from the inside out, to heal these thoughts that are keeping you feeling stuck and unfulfilled, to create a life that God is calling you to create, to co-create with Him, because it all starts with healing our minds and our hearts in order for us to see change in our world. Without God, we can't, but without us, He won't. So it is time to, on purpose, create that life that we dream of. All you need to do is sign up for a free one-on-one consultation with me, and the link is in the description. I will see you then.